All right, let's go through all the formulas that were found in Chapter 1. First off, we begin with simple interest and amount of simple interest. These guys right here. All right. The way you know you're going to use simple interest is if the problem says simple. They're the nicest ones, hence the sort of the name. Remember, these are the guys where you only earn interest once the entire period. So if you have simple interest loan for 5 years or 5,000 years, you're only getting charged or earning interest once the entire time. They are the basis for everything else, though. That's why we start there. The first one on the left is just the interest, whereas the second one on the right is the total amount, including the principal for that account. So note the difference. If you just want the interest, use the first one. If you want the total amount, use the second one as well. Okay. Now, below that, we see our compound interest and its partner in crime, present value. These are basically the exact same formula, just solved for a different variable. So a couple comments. All four of these here what is happening is that you're putting the money in once and then you're walking away. So you have to first make a flow chart in your head as far as when you're reading the problems in your test or in your homework. Okay, am I putting the money in away once? Yes. Okay, it's one of these formulas. Am I putting the money in multiple times? Yes. Okay, then that's one of the higher formulas, like your amortization, your future value annuity, your sinking fund. Those are all the annuity type of problems. But if you're just doing it once and then walking away, it's one of these four guys. And I'll repeat that for a different pair of formulas in a second. So if it says compound and you're putting the money away once, then you are looking at your compound interest formula. This formula tells you how much you'll have later on with knowing how much you're putting in now, and that's the p-value. Whereas, on the flip side, if you know how much you want in the future, but you need to know how much do you put away now to get that amount, that's present value. Now, there are two present value formulas. This present value formula is where you're putting money away once. In the other present value formula, you're putting the money away multiple times. So note the difference. Okay. The annual percentage yield, and by the way, using all these colors is fun. Annual percentage yield formula is used when you have two different compound interest rates at two different rates of compounding, and you need to compare them. Because right now, if you have 5.3% daily versus 5.4% monthly, and you want to figure out which one's better, what you do is you need to convert them to a simple interest, and then it becomes an apples to apples comparison instead of an apples to oranges. So annual percentage yield is used to compare two different rates at two different rates of compounding. Okay. So now we're out of the one-time payment land, and we're now going to mosey on into the more than one-time payment land. We start with amortization up here. Amortization is used when you want to figure out the payment necessary to pay off a loan. So want to know your car payment, your house payment. This is also used when you are trying to figure out how much you can pay yourself when you go to retire. So in other words, amortization is used when you are trying to clear out the account. So notice, if you know any Romance languages, mort means to kill. Bum, bum. Wow, wow, wow. I need someone in the background to play trumpet for me at these times. That's okay. So mort is to kill off the loan. Amount owed on a loan, that's pretty self-explanatory. So this is typically going to be used when you're refinancing your house. And let's suppose you're like 10 years into paying off your house, and then you're like, oh, here's a better deal. I'm going to go refi. Well, part of the refi process is you need to know how much you still owe on your current amount. And that's what this formula is for, amount owed on a loan. Average daily balance, we talked about, is going to be used for when you are trying to figure out the finance charge on a credit card account is typically where it comes into play. And remember, you first find your average daily balance. You need to know the total number of days in the cycle. So you'll need to know how many months are in the year. Remember, you have some knuckles. You just do the January, February, March, April account. The knuckles, go to town. It's fun. And then after you have your average daily balance, it's sort of up in the air as far as what the bank does. They'll tell you your annual percentage rate. And then from that, you will be using your, to figure out the finance charge, you go back to your I equals PRT, your simple interest. And that will help you figure out the finance charge. And then if the question says, how much is the minimum payment due for the next billing cycle, again, that depends on the bank. It's between 2 and 4% of total of the balance after the finance charge. So again, average daily balance is used to help you figure out your finance charge. Okay. Present value annuity. So again, anytime you hear the phrasing, how much should I deposit now, you want to instantly think present value. And then since there's two of them, you want to think about which one to use. It depends on, am I doing this once or am I doing it more than once? Well, amortization, present value, future value, sinking fund, these are the formulas that are associated with doing stuff more than once, making multiple payments, multiple deposits. So if you're doing how much do I need to deposit now to get the amount later on, and you are making multiple deposits, it's this present value of an annuity. Future value annuity, as the name implies, future value will tell you based on your payment how much you'll have in the future. This is very similar to compound interest. They both tell you how much you have in the future, but again, the big difference, compound interest, you're putting the money away how many times? Once. Future value, you're putting the money away how many times? Multiple times. Periodic payments. The flip side of a future value is the sinking fund. Notice they are the same formula, just solved for a different variable. Just like how present value annuity is the same formula as amortization, just solved for a different variable. Sinking fund is used to figure out how much you need to put away to save for a future debt. So if you're saving up for a car, saving up for a house, saving up for a college loan, you want to think sinking fund. So if you know you just had a kid or whatever, and you know in 20 years, well, not 20 years, that'd be terrible. In 18 years after they graduate high school, because hopefully it doesn't take them 20 years, they're ready to go to college, and you know college is going to cost $50,000 in 20 years or 18 years, whatever. And you want to figure out how much should I put away monthly now so I have their $50,000 for them, so I can hold it over them for the rest of their life. That's a sinking fund. So saving up for a future debt, sinking fund. All right, that's your finance formula. So the first trick is to look at a problem and go, I need this formula. After that, it's just putting the numbers in.